it's time for some real education. Charles I was the second Stuart King of England, Scotland, and Ireland. He reigned from 1625 until he was beheaded by Cromwell in 1649. His father was King James VI of Scotland, who became King James I of England in 1603. In 1632, Charles named Anthony van Dyck, the great Flemish Baroque master, as his principal court painter.
Yeah, this is really interesting. It's one of the most famous painters of all of European history, becomes the court painter to Charles I of England, the second Stuart monarch, following his father James. And if you take a look at the picture here, you can. This is one of the works we're dealing with. This is Charles I with Monsieur de St Antoine. It's an oil painting on canvas by the Flemish master painter Anthony van Dyck. It depicts Charles I on horseback, accompanied by his riding master, Pierre Antoine Bourdon, Seigneur de St Antoine. This portrait is dated 1633 and was the first equestrian portrait of Charles that Van Dyck painted. And there's some really interesting things here. It currently hangs in Buckingham Palace. Notice how Charles, who was an indecisive man, kind of a frail man, in many ways he didn't have that kingly timber. It's one of the reasons why he was ultimately removed. But here he's depicted as a chivalrous knight and a sovereign riding a large muscular white horse. This is the 20th century equivalent of the red Camaro, right? Try to make the middle-aged, ineffective, wimpy guy look a little more manly. Well, you put him behind the wheel of a Corvette, right? In this case, you put him on the back of a hugely muscled stallion, probably a Lipizzan stallion, one of those wonderful horses, under a neoclassical triumphal arch, as a way of trying to suggest, no, seriously, he is a king. He is a king. You see the shield of arms there on the left. You have him dwarfing the figure of his horse master, the horse master who's actually walking, so that Charles can be seen as kingly. So what does this tell us? What does this painting tell us about power and position? It tells us that art always has had propaganda uses, that it's always been possible for artists to prop up weak rulers or to alter reality just enough to confer power and potency to cover up impotency. And that's the case of Charles. There was very little that could be done, though, in Charles's case. As the interregnum went forward, Charles was going to be beheaded. The Puritans took over for a period of time there, and it was interesting, to say the least. Charles became the first the first English king to be beheaded that way, theoretically by the people of England. It struck a major blow against the divine right of kings theory, which almost all previous English kings believed in, that they had been set up by God and therefore no human beings could remove them. Well, a nice blow to the neck, and Charles was removed by his own people. And as grisly a time as it was, it does remind us of something very useful, that we need to remember it as we go about deifying presidents like Obama and Biden just because they're not Donald Trump. There is no divine right of kings. There is no divine right of presidents. Just because you have a D before your name, whether you're Obama or Biden, doesn't mean, as we just saw in the last segment, doesn't mean you can't be the biggest racist out there or the most impotent mom jean wearing president in the history of the republic.